Hi my salty pecans, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Pamela, and on today's video I'm going to be doing one that honestly has been requested of me for a really long time, and it's just a long video to create just in general, and it is my entire full houseplant collection. Yes, full houseplant collection. I'm going to be showing you every plant that I own. I live in a New York City apartment, so you know, space for me is limited, but I try my best because this addiction, this love, this passion, this hobby of mine takes up a lot of space, and I don't have a lot of space, so I do my best to try to collect as many plants as I can while still being mindful of everyone else who lives inside of my home. So yeah, I'm going to show you the plants in my bedroom and just plants in other rooms in my home. So if you're interested in my houseplant collection, then keep on watching. So the first plant that we are going to show in this corner, in this space, is right here, my beautiful Hoya compacta carnosa. This is just a plain green carnosa. Love it. It's one of my favorite plants in general. This plant right here is actually a reverted pink princess philodendron, and you're probably like, what do you mean reverted pink princess philodendron? Yes, that is literally what I purchased this plant as. None of the parent leaves are on here anymore, but I do want to say that this plant, when I did purchase it, was all green. They had no basically pink on it, and I experimented over time to just see if I was able to induce and pull out that nature, that natural pinkness that's inside of the pink princess, and I luckily was able to do that. So this reverted pink princess is no longer reverted. It does exhibit signs of pink, so much so that the entire new growth sections are pink with, you know, few bits of green in them. But I do eventually want to cut all of the pink portions off, propagate that, and try to restart the plant back here, you know, at a greener point. As you can see, the pink vine is just all pink, while the ones with green variegation are darker, like when I speak about the nodes, the internodes, the stem. This next plant here is my philodendron mayoi. I love this plant. It really doesn't do too much. I know this plant would need more light. It definitely requires more light, even though it's right here in front of my windowsill. It still doesn't get as much light as I would want. I also think I don't water it enough, so it's also pretty dry. But that's my philodendron mayoi. The next plant right here is a propagation, and it is a not monstera, a Syngonium albo propagation, and this one lives inside of moss. Actually, this is moss. See, this is moss, and yeah, I pretty much just water this when it gets dry, or if I see maybe one of the lower leaves are starting to look a little sad, and that's when I will water this plant. But other than that, I find it's really easy to grow plants inside of moss. And all of these things are trying to get jumbled up now. We're not doing that. I forgot to mention, I keep a philobrandy under this plant vase because I find the brandy in my home needs a bit more humidity, and this is the only way I'm able to honestly keep this alive. If not, I would not own a brandy. So before we go on to the windowsill, I'm just gonna pan you over here. This is where I keep some of my shoes, but originally I actually wanted to turn this whole thing into a plant wall. I haven't done that yet. It's still a desire that I do have, but if I don't, then I don't. If I do, then I would be extra happy, extra hype about that. But the first plant here is my Hoya Crimson Princess, right? And then it's really cute. It's like behind this plant right here. The Scindapsus is behind the Scindapsus pictus. And yes, the next plant on top of here, a couple of rows up, is my Scindapsus pictus argyreus. This plant is pretty large, it's pretty long, and it does its own thing. As you can see, there's this one vine that lives on my shoes, and now it's just exhibiting, like pushing out all that new growth and just wrapping. Okay, so next plant, we are panning over here. I have an assortment of plants down here on the window ledge, and then I also have some things that are hung up. And backlitness, we love it, don't we? I hate it. More plants on this side, so let's start. So currently, just for today, I have this Myrtle cactus, which is the booby cactus. I originally had this plant outside, but I am finding that the sunlight is a little too harsh for it, and I think this just might be just like sun damage. It's a little soft, and up here was soft at one point, but now it's hardening a bit. It's a little hard down here, so I decided to bring this whole entire plant back in. I've had it for a year and it wasn't giving me any problem being indoors, so maybe it's not too happy where it is, so I just brought it back in from the fire escape. Then up here, hey salty peeps. Okay, so it might be a little loud because I am exposing you all to the outside elements, the outdoors, but this is how the cacti are looking right now outdoors. Of course, I have the penis cactus, the booby cactus, the two lactail white ghosts, the spiralis cactus, which are honestly, if you're looking, maybe I'm like bugging and exaggerating, but you see how frothy, right? Let me see if you could see my fingers. Yeah, okay. You see how frothy like here is compared to the top. The top is like the new growth portion, and I know none of that is like all new growth, but I feel like some of it is. And honestly, wow, look how beautiful that is. I'm excited for this one to actually spiralize. This plant was 2, but I sold one of them last year for an auction. But yeah, the aloe though, for me, I don't know if it's sunburn that's happening with the aloe, but I don't think the aloe likes being outside. And if you can see right here, the other Euphorbia lactea, right there, looks, it's doing its thing. They're all looking pretty good right now. The booby cactus though, she's trying to grow her tats. She's trying to grow them titties, and the penis cactus is just there. It's just a disappointment. And yeah, the lactail white ghosts, they're just chilling. I love the pink tips of them. That's my favorite, just like part of the white ghost is the pink tips of the new growth. You know, the new growth are just so bright pink and they're so cute. I love them. I have this Hoya Swiffer's tail. Next to it, I have this Penta something, and I've had this plant since 2019. It has not grown a bud. It has not exhibited any signs of life. It's just rooted and it's just there. That's all it does. It's rooted itself and it's just here. Next to that, I have this little propagation situation that has a couple of Ripsalis in here. These are the Ripsalis paradoxa and some string of hearts, silver glory. This is my Senecio, what kind is this? Senecio Royalianus string of pearls. Next to that, I have this Hoya obovata, And then next to that, I have a Mother of Millions chandelier plant. So next to that plant, I actually have this Scindapsus pictus jade satin. It's just the Scindapsus without any silver in it. Love this plant so much. It is so just huge and bushy and just really happy. So super happy about that, of course. Then I have this Philodendron lupinum. This plant, I need to reassess the care that I'm providing it. It's lacking in humidity. The lack of humidity causes the leaves like this, right? It causes them to not unfurl. So they just kind of get stuck. And you have a new growth that's trying to unfurl, but the other one hasn't unfurled, and it's just a lot of work. Behind that, I have this Hoya acute white variegata. And then behind this Wendy's cup, I have these string of turtles. This string of turtles, in my opinion, definitely needs a bigger pot. So sometime this summer, I'm gonna have to repot it. Under this Wendy's cup, I do have my Hoya serpents. Next to my Hoya serpents, I have this Hoya australis Saini, not too sure. Then in this little pot behind that, I have a philodendron. I never remember what this philodendron is called, but it's pretty cool. I think it's the philodendron pedatum. That's the one this is. I have a philodendron pedatum. It's pretty large, and I just keep it in the corner because it's so big, and it tries to intertwine itself in every single plant that's in this section. Just gonna get rid of some of these. All right, so when we pan up a bit right here, I have this Hoya eligorium, and I'm finally happy that this plant is putting out some new growth. So here's one new growth point up here and another new growth point over here, and I think that's just all the new growth points on these vines. Then I have this lovely Hoya paradoxa. No, Ripsalis paradoxa, not Hoya. Ripsalis paradoxa. One of my favorite plants with my least favorite plant, which is the Mother of Thousands. Hate this plant so much. It's so viable. A lot. So if I turn you all over here, this is my Hoya cage. So in my Hoya cage, I have right here, this is a Hoya pubicalyx. Next to my Hoya pubicalyx, I believe this is just a regular green Hoya carnosa. Next to the regular green carnosa, I have a Hoya crinkle 8. You can see the crinkle dips in here. Next to the crinkle 8, I believe this is another Hoya carnosa. And then if I just turn this like this, I have this like really unhappy Hoya Chelsea, but then part of it is happy, the other part isn't, so we're just keeping an eye out because it was really dry not too long ago. Next to that, I have this string. No, what is this? It's a silver dollar. And the last Hoya in here is my Hoya carrii. If we now pan up, you can see this is one of my tetraspermas. This is my non-tissue culture Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. And on top of the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, so up here I have my Hoya weyetii, and then this is my Hoya, I forgot what it's called. I don't really like it too much. It's the Bertonoi. I have two Hoya compactas, my favorite, and behind that I have a tissue culture tetrasperma. Below the tissue culture tetrasperma, I have my variegated albosingonium, and in that Albosingonium, I have a String of Hearts Silver Glory. The last plant, well, the last two plants here are, the first one is my, what is this called? My air plant, and this is the Medusa one. It multiplied and had a baby. And then I also have this. This is my, I think this is like a Zabrina Haworthia. It gave us a baby, and this also gave a baby. So those are all the plants that I have in this windowsill in this section of plants. Now I'm going to now show you the plants on this windowsill. So we are at this windowsill now, and the first plant I'm going to show you that lives here, that resides here, is definitely this beautiful Hoya rotundiflora. I absolutely love my Hoya rotundiflora. So many new growth points. This is a different plant in here, but so many new growth points. There's like a little cute new growth point happening here. All the tips are just fresh and popping out new leaves. So Hoya rotundiflora. I have this propagation situation here. I forget about it a lot of the times, and I'll come up and I'm like, whoa, this thing is like, has no water, but it's still happy and it's always pushing out new growth. So it's just a little propagation station. It has pothos, it has monstera in here. Good stuff, y'all. I have this gigantic Pachira aquatica, aka money tree. It's pretty large, it's pretty big, love it so much. And behind the Pachira aquatica, I have this gigantic Syngonium white butterfly. The Syngonium white butterfly has to be one of my most favorite Syngoniums ever. It's one of my oldest plants. I think I've had this plant for like about 10 years now. Yes, actually this August or September is gonna make me own this plant for 10 years. I got it in 2011. It was my first job. I work at a chiropractic office, and the chiropractor, he was like, yeah, you can have a piece of cutting of this. And I was just like, yeah, 17-year-old self working at a doctor's office getting free plant cuttings. Love it. Then this next beauty is my Ficus lyrata. This is my fiddle leaf fig tree, and I have been able to propagate this plant to the point where I wanted to vine off. So it has given me new growth points, and it's 3 new growth points. 2 of the new growth points, they're active, but they're not as large as this offshoot. So this is a branch offshoot, and it's giving me these beautiful large fiddle-like pear-shaped leaves. So we love it. We love when plants are being happy and being good and growing large. So the next plant that's in this section is my Hoya carnosa compacta variegata. This is the Regalis, which has the green interior and white bordering. This one is also giving me new growth. This is a new growth point, and there are countless new growth points here. I've talked about them in other videos. Then we also have my Hoya carnosa compacta Mauna Loa. The Mauna Loa has the white interior and green bordering. Love compactas. I always say this, but I'm on a hunt to own every single sort of compacta that there is out there. I do own 3 of the 4 variations. I'm only missing the Jody Silver. Next plant is this really sad. I didn't realize it was this sad until today. This is my orchid, my jewel orchid. It looks so sad, y'all. Please don't pay attention. It's just been really hot, and I guess I underestimated how I've been watering it. I thought I was doing good with the watering, but I guess not enough. So I've been ODing with the water today. So hopefully the new growth, you know, keeps coming out, because all of this was so beautiful and green and orchidy. I have this Hoya curtsii. This plant, it has like a love-hate relationship with me. One time I'll think it's doing really good, and then I'll blink, and then I have just like dry strands, dry vines, and I'm just like, when did this happen? And it was just like, oh, I don't know, I don't recall. So yeah, Hoya curtsii, this is hit or miss with that one for me. Then I have this beauty right here. This is my, I think it's like shark's tooth, shark's fin orchid. So yeah, orchid cactus. And these are all the ones I can like pick up to show you. Now we're going to do different angles. So behind my beautiful Pachera aquatica is this really long, really long, as you can see, very long string of hearts. This is just the regular green string of hearts. Again, this is backlit, so the lighting is the worst that it could possibly be. Then on top of that, I actually have this here. This is an assortment of rubsalis. There's this little cool one here. There's a pilocarpa, and then there's this other kind right here. So this is my rubsalis plant. It has a variety of them. And behind that, I just have this really sad, really sad monstera adansonii, my first one. So this plant, I think in a little bit I'm gonna just chop this whole plant up because I have a bunch of, they're not runners because they used to have leaves, but the leaves have been drying and yellowing because I don't remember this plant exists. In all honesty, I forget this plant exists. So it dries up really fast, but it is such a tolerant plant until it can't be. This is the Syngonium, like I mentioned, pretty large. This is my hands, and this is the leaf. Look how large this leaf is in comparison to my hand. All right, this is a scale to size, huge. Last plant over here is a mix of Mother of Thousands and cactus. I don't remember this kind, but I like it. It's droopy. I don't really do anything much to it because of just how it is. Now we are here. This is my dresser, and I do use the space to obviously house some more plants. So up here I have this propagation, water propagation of, what is this plant called? My Cebu Blue pothos. I also have another water propagation. This one has a couple of monsteras in here. It has a Monstera standalina. I have, this is a regular pothos scadens. I have a salty pecan in here, and I think a Cebu Blue in here. I have this vanilla orchid, planifolia, happy plant, mind off, happy, love it. It loves its place. I have here, this is a Monstera Peru, and I got this one actually from Not Dude, aka Adam. Okay, let's put these back. The last one that's inside of this little planter stand is my Philodendron Burley Marks. This is the larger one. If y'all can see, I'm starting to sweat. It's really hot, and the ring light doesn't help. Behind that, I have this here. I don't know if y'all can see. Oh. This is my Welfin Sansevieria. I have a few of these. This is the original mother plant, and it's just giving me another baby. The last plant that I have here is my Monstera Sotapacana, aka Monstera Salty Pecan. I love this plant. It's just so beautiful, and it has, it's what I call you guys, my salty pecans. So let's go ahead and check some more plants in another section of my room. So this right here is my nightstand, and I decided to put two desks together so I can actually just use more space. And on here I have this water bowl, this water container, and I have two sort of pothos in here. I have just the classic green pothos, and then I have the golden pothos, and this plant is named Amanda. So next to Amanda, I have I forgot, this is a something queen pothos. I forgot exactly, something queen, white queen something, but that's that. And then here I have this, my big Monstera Deliciosa. This is my Monstera Deliciosa. I've been through quite a few things with this plant. I actually originally purchased this baby in 2018, and it's been so good to me. It has been so good to me. I really don't pay this plant much attention, and it's like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna have to do what I have to do with what you give me, I guess. And it keeps it pushing. It does its thing, and I don't bother it. I love it. I love it so much. So if we look over here, this is my plant shelf. I actually have a video on creating this shelves and also styling here. So aside from a few, you know, little decorations up here, which is like globes, some crystals and books, and other little knickknacks that I found maybe from the thrift store or from traveling. I love keeping some of my travel knickknacks here. This is actually from Egypt, from my best friend, and that I found at a thrift shop. It's like one of these, I believe it's like a Japanese cork something disc. I forgot what they're called, but I googled it and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I found that for like $3. So the first plant up here on the shelf is just a regular green philodendron scadens, and it's inside of a cage. I absolutely love plants in cages. As you can see, I showed you the Hoya cage, so that was the second cage I created, and this is the third one, and it has just this philodendron green scadens in here. And I have this water propagation station, and I just have a couple of different plants. I have a micans, as you can see. I also have some green phyllos in here, and I actually have a Syngonium white butterfly. It doesn't look like it, but it is a white butterfly. And the last one I have in here is an Adansonii, and it's actually inside of a tequila bottle. So, you know, I like to reuse cute, different sort of looking bottles for propagations. You don't have to go out and buy like fancy stations, just use what you got, you know what I mean. Then in here I have this other philodendron scadens, and this is the original leaf. As you can see, that leaf has just created such a large plant, so much that, wow, I just messed it up, but it's been like trying to climb on the wall, and I just messed it up, but I'm gonna let it climb on the wall. It's really long. It's one vine, and I wrapped it around this horn that I made. I also will try to tag that video, but this is like a little bookend that I made with horns. And up there I have the second shelf, and on here I have a philodendron Brazil. I created this plant out of cuttings. I have that video. I did 4 plants actually in that video, and this is just my Brazil. It's so beautiful. Then the last plant up here is 2 water propagations. They've been in here for years. This is one of my white butterfly cuttings, and that is one of my pothos, the golden pothos cuttings, and that is on a shelf with the Russian nesting dolls from Russia and a camel from Egypt, and another crystal. So we're going to go to the last section in my room where I keep my plants, which is my filming station. So I just want to give you a light pan over just how this section looks. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start off. The first plant that you're looking at right here is a bird of paradise, the Strelitzias. This one I was struggling with because I misunderstood the care requirements, but now it is doing much better, so much so that it's pushing out a new growth right here. I'm really happy about that. Then next to that, I have a Scindapsus, the Silver Moonlight, or is it just Moonlight? I don't remember. Scindapsus Pictus Moonlight, I believe. And then my pièce de résistance, my most loved plant, my oldest plant. This is my Dieffenbachia, stoic. Love him, and it's in this pot. It shares a pot with my Aglaonema Silver Queen. And next to that, I have a ZZ, just a classic ZZ plant. Above my bed, I have this Golden Pothos, Humongosaur, Babysaur, gorgeous. Love this plant. And I have my two stripper poles. So on this chair under my stripper pole, I have this plant that I actually made with Svetlana. This is my fairy garden, and sadly I lost this week this plant. I don't know how. I think I probably had water go in the center and it just stayed and it made everything else rot. But I'm gonna have to replace that plant, but everything else looks really good in here. On top of that, I have my beautiful Monstera albo named Hannah. Beautiful Monstera plant. And behind that, I have this little find that I found at a Home Depot. It has a global green pothos in there and another philodendron Burley Marks. On top of that, I have my favorite Hoya, well, my second favorite Hoya, which is my Hoya Polyneura Broguette with two new growth points. Wow, chicken, wow, wow. And the last plant on this particular pole is my orchid. I forgot what kind of orchid it is, but it's one of those cool shaped orchids. And this thing, it comes with the option to hang. So I have a philodendron bipennifolium behind here. My philodendron bipennifolium. It is hung up and it's inside of this container. Pretty, love it. Next to that, I have my favorite string of hearts, variegated. Such a beautiful plant, and I have it like twined and wrapped around this little head thing that, you know, is just there. And I also have under that, I have a combination of plants. As you can see, I have my rattlesnake calathea. I also have a silver stripe philodendron, and I have a water lily propagation with a Monstera, a Scindapsus, and that's it. On this pole, I have my skeleton key pothos, and this baby is starting to do that key that the skeleton key is loved for. But I think I have to move it a bit away from the light because this one is looking a little wonky. Under that, I have this baby right here, which is my Macrophylla variegata. I have a silver hastatum, the philodendron hastatum, and then I have this Amplicynum silver. Under that, I have my water propagation, and in here I have a pink princess. I have a, I forgot what kind of Hoya this is. I forgot. I also have a queen, a Hoya queen, and I have a Cebu blue pothos. I have this one leaf of Monstera albo, and that Monstera albo is pushing out a brand new growth. So we are happy, we are rooting, we are supporting. Next to that, I have my Monstera Peru. This is one of my all-time plants, favorite plants in general. And behind that, I have this monkey mask Adansonii. Now if we pan over here, I have my original cage with my pothos. Love pothos so much. And I also have this beautiful philodendron micans, huge plant. And lastly, I have this pink princess propagation. Well, it's not a propagation, it's the plant. I have the propagations inside of here. If I just turn it around for y'all, I have 2 pink princess plants inside of this water. And I also have this water propagation. And this one has a Hawaiian purple, pubicalyx, a queen carnosa, and yeah, those are the only ones inside of here. I have 2 prop boxes doing their things. So in here, to quickly show you all what we're doing, I have Peru Adansonii. I also have a Rhaphidophora decursiva. I have 2 cuttings in here. And some strings of turtles in here too. Inside of the larger one, I have some philodendron hastatum in here. I have some bipenniformium. I also have my Hoya. This is the beautiful, beautiful Polymura and global. Yeah, you can see I have the global green right here, the Polymura. And I also have back here the silver stripe. And I think this one right here with the yellow stem, it's one of my Standalilinas. If you're interested, I have a perlite prop box creation. Perlite, I believe, is gonna be my favorite way to propagate my plants. So yeah, perlite prop box creation video, if you're interested, will be linked. So we are in my kitchen and the lighting is not the best, but I'm just going to share you with. So this here is my Maria Illusion Syngonium. I love this plant. I believe I got this one from like IKEA years ago. And next to that, I'm not sure if you can see, but this is just a classic green ZZ plant. Just my classic green ZZ. And then I have a Ripsalis. I believe this is the Vocifera. This was what I was sold it as, and it's pretty long. I just decided just for now, for the summer, to just move it into my kitchen. And behind that I have a, gosh, what is this called? One of these whale fin sands. It's like fully rooted in this water, and it's like pushing out new growth points, but it's so gross and like mucky. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it. Yeah, so you see there's like 2 snakes popping out, and it's so gross. I definitely should like clean this one, right? Right? Yeah. But we're gonna just plop it in here and pretend like we didn't see that. There's this right here. This is some sort of, gosh, what is this plant called? Snake plant. It got caught in the window during like the winter and it nearly died, but it survived. And I also have a aloe, a mini aloe. It just fell, and I'm like, I'm not paying any attention. In front of that, I have this plant. This is an African thyme plant. This is literally the only edible plant that I have in my home. And next to that, I have actually a raven ZZ. A ZZ raven. It's put out a new leaf. the leaves come out when they're new, this green color, and they turn black, well, this dark color. And inside of that pot I also have a golden pothos, which somehow rooted itself here. It was once inside of that water container, and then this literal point literally got stuck in here and it rooted itself in the water, I mean in the soil. And then since then I just decided I'm just gonna keep it wrapped around in the pot, and eventually it does whatever it's gonna want to do when it does it. I have this, I forgot what are these plants, it's the Christmas ones, and they have them in red and pink and white. But yeah, it's that plant. I have this gigantic bamboo. I think this is the oldest plant in our home. We've probably had this plant since maybe 2007, maybe 2005. It used to once reach over the top of the ceiling, and I did cut it last year or earlier this year. I forgot exactly when, because they were yellowing and we were really neglecting this plant. And the last plant behind that is this one. It's one of these like cactus with the like thorns, and it's painful and I don't like to touch it, so I'm keeping it indoors. But it's a really dope plant to just have in your collection. So those are my kitchen plants. The last kitchen plant is this philodendron scandens. I remember, gosh, in 2020 it was like my first ever just like brand that reached out to me to try a product, and I love this. The only thing I would just say about the positioning of this plant, it doesn't get as much sunlight as it would want. So you know, the new growth aren't as huge, but they try their best to come out of a decent size. So that is my last kitchen plant. This one is actually the Maria Illusion Syngonium. Love Syngoniums. I think this one is also from IKEA a while back. There's another, what plant is this? Burle Marx Philodendron. And the last one is a Welfin Sans again. This is one of the pups from that gigantic parent plant I showed you all. Both Welfins I showed are from that parent plant, and they both have given me pups, well, all three. So thank you so much, my salty pecans, for watching my entire houseplant collection. Have you been keeping count? Because I didn't keep count. I don't know how many plants I own, and it is just way too much work to keep count, okay? So if you all counted, please leave down in the comment section below how many plants you counted, because I also think I might have missed some, like maybe propagations. If I did, then I might try to add them in. If I don't, then let me know what your tally is. Also, let me know how many plants do you have in your houseplant collection, because 2020 was a real one for most of us. With that being said, thank you so much, my salty pecans, for watching this video. If you liked it, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and sharing. Subscribe if you aren't already. Join this little cookie family because we're pretty awesome here. Become a salty pecan, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a YouTube video. Also, don't forget to follow me on my other social medias, my Instagram at HauzPlant. I also have a Twitter, HauzPlant. I have a TikTok. I have created a TikTok, so keep an eye out, follow me. I'm going to try to put content out there now. Also, again, it is HauzPlant. My hashtags, my handles are HauzPlant, so go ahead and follow me on all of those, and I will see you all on the next one. Let's get growing. Bye.